First of all, just wanted to say how fired up and excited I am to be here. Really, really excited to get this thing going, hit the ground running, get together with everybody and see what we can do. Wanted to thank Nick, the Houston organization, the McNairs, DeMeco Ryans, all the coaches that we kind of put together here, the players we're going to go with, really just for this opportunity. And wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, everybody kind of in the organization. They've done a lot for me. They're why I'm here. So excited to get moving.
Hey, Bobby, when you came here, of course, they need a quarterback. We've asked everybody about the quarterback. What's your philosophy about what kind of quarterback you want?
Yeah, well, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not any one position. It's kind of the whole unit, how it all fits together. We kind of take a top-down view, but how we see everything working together is, we're an offense built on precision. Everybody kind of working together in unison, on time, in rhythm. That's the starting point, but it's not any one given position. We see how it all fits.
Bobby, with the amount of quarterbacks you guys used last year, how much did that inform some of your thinking on being able to get other people ready and being able to adapt your system to different player strengths?
Yeah, I think it really helped us learn at every position how important depth is, how important it is that you have more than one guy. You have people that you believe can come in, fill a role, kind of develop in what we believe and what we want to do going forward, and step in and really not miss a beat, keep moving. And again, this is kind of a top-down view, but we kind of view that everywhere, not only at quarterback. We had some situations at running back. We had some situations at tackle. We had some situation at wide receiver through our 6 years at San Francisco, and that really helped us solidify what we're looking for, specific things that we think can step in and fill a void when we have one, and really kind of not miss a beat.
Bobby, Brooks Painter from Houston Chronicle. You have a couple of senior offensive assistants on part of the staff. How much do you feel like that supports you in the role, and what would you describe, from your time and your experience, what kind of offense you're trying to build?
Yeah, Bill Lazor and Shane Day for me are massive additions. Shane's someone I really have a relationship with. I've spent a lot of time with. We were together for 2 years in San Francisco. We've talked a lot since then. He knows what I'm trying to do as far as scheme goes. We can speak the same language as far as football terminology goes. And it's helpful to have someone with you that you can kind of leave the room and what you're saying is being repeated in the same way you say it. So I'm really excited to get back to work with Shane. And then Bill is someone that really, I know he's been around. I heard his name. He's been in the NFL a long time. He's coached a really long time. And I had a lot of conversations with him before he came here. And, we got a bond and a connection and a relationship. And he's called plays before. He's installed schemes before. He's done it all, and he's done it in many different ways. And just even since he's been here, it's been really exciting to be able to talk and have someone who's gone through it before, can kind of eliminate the speed bumps, get you over them that much faster. So those two are going to be really helpful. And then as far as our scheme, a lot of the scheme is you have a system, you have a philosophy. And for us at the Texans, it kind of is the whole team. It's not just one specific side of the ball. DeMeco always says swarm. That applies to offense also. Everything we want starts with, are we fast, are we physical, are we tough? And that, again, is when you turn on the tape of our offense, that's what you want to see. That should be the first thing that jumps out to you. And then outside of that, a lot of our scheme fits our players. Now how exactly that's structured is independent of each organization and each unit. But we're always going to work around who we have, and we're going to make sure that what they excel at, we put on tape for them, and we make sure that we showcase that.
Bobby, Jonathan Alexander, Houston Chronicle, welcome. What made this particular right fit for you?
Well, there's a lot of exciting things going on. Obviously have a great relationship with DeMeco. We came into the NFL. I was in Washington, but then I had gotten back into the NFL at San Francisco with Kyle, and DeMeco came at the same time. And We were in the same room together as that first year, 2017, as QCs on defense. He was working with Johnny Holland at the time. I was kind of in and out with him and Robert Saleh, and we really built a bond just going through that whole process. And 2017 was a tough year. 2018 was a little bit of a tough year. And when you go through stuff like that and you're always in a room with somebody, you really get to know each other through the ups and the downs. So that was number one, just being able to be around what I consider a very, very special person and a very special coach. And then on top of that, there's a lot of exciting things at the Texans. There's a lot of youth on the roster. There's some guys that can really come play. There's a lot of capital that you have that you could take advantage of in the offseason to keep putting pieces together. And in my conversations with Nick, I really got excited about just his approach and how he sees the game, how he sees roster construction and everything really together. Made it very enticing.
Hey, Bobby, Drew Doherty here with the Texans. You spent some time at PFF, and every coach has a unique journey, but how did that experience maybe help you in your path?
Yeah, no, that was definitely unique. I don't think there's many coaches that kind of went that direction, but I learned a lot in my time there. They have phenomenal people at Pro Football Focus. They do things a very certain way, and they try to almost take what I was used to watching as far as subjectivity and objectivity, and they flipped it on its head. And I learned a lot. Like there's many different ways to look at the game. There's many different ways to break it down, a lot of different angles you can take as far as how you splice it up. So it was beneficial to me just kind of getting a different vantage point. I always think different versions of information is helpful, and it kind of helps shape who you are as a coach and as a person.
Bobby, Brian Bearfield, Texans Wire USA Today, first of all. Congratulations on the job.
Thank you.
And welcome to Houston. This is the third offense coordinator that the Houston Texans have been. What is going to be your identity, and can a rookie quarterback start in your offense? Yeah,
I mean, to start with, as far as our identity, I kind of already hit it, but fast, physical, tough. And it all starts from there. And we had always said this when I was at San Francisco, and I believe this to my core. If you get in a room and you're by yourself and you turn on our film, our character should show through when you watch our offense. And I believe that was true when we were in San Francisco, and that's going to be true here. When you get in a room by yourself and you turn on what we call the silent tape, you're going to feel a team that's very aggressive, that's fast, that's decisive. There's not hesitation. Everyone knows what we're doing, and we enjoy playing the game. And that really overall is what we want to do on offense, and that starts scheme-wise is making sure everyone's on the same page, and again, putting our guys in the best positions to do what they do best and take advantage of their strengths. And forgive me, what was the other part?
I said, can a rookie start in your offense?
Yeah, I would point to the end of last year. Now, unfortunately, we had to go through 3 quarterbacks last year, but I mean, we had Mr. Irrelevant who did one heck of a job, but played for us in San Francisco and took us all the way to the NFC Championship game. So I think how you structure the entire thing, offense, that includes defense, that includes special teams, everything plays a hand in how it all goes together.
Bobby, after DeMeco was hired, Kyle said that this past season was the best season he'd ever had as a coach on offense. And it was not a coincidence that you played the biggest role you played. Number one, what was your role? And considering how much he praised you for that, what do you think about it?
Yeah, that means a lot to me. I kind of got in the NFL from Mike Shanahan. My dad was a coach. He was a coach for a long time in the NFL, still coaches, loves it. So I kind of grew up around the game, but I didn't really get a shot to coach as a career until Mike Shanahan kind of brought me in. And that went then to Kyle, and I'd been on defense for a long time, and Kyle had always wanted me to come to offense, and then eventually he convinced me to pull the trigger and jump over to the other side of the ball. And the amount of learning I went through, the growth, how much he helped bring me along, how much he challenged me. I mean, it was not easy in the right way. It was not easy to work for him, and you grow. Like, you grow. You learn a lot, and you become a better coach. You become a better person. And I can't I can't tell you how thankful I am to the Shanahan family for allowing that to happen and really bringing me up and letting me do that. And then as far as last year's concerned, every year as a team, as a scheme, you wind up evolving and growing as the year goes. And Kyle really had a belief that it always is evolving, always. It never stops. And that's through the off season, that's through in season as well. And last year, the way our team gelled, our coaching staff gelled, and it took a little while. We had a lot of new faces on our coaching staff last year. And once it started rolling, we were able to take the offense and the team in a lot of different cool directions that we really hadn't done before. So it was really, really exciting.
Bobby, as the son of a coach, how much is your father's influence made that imprint on you? What are some things you've taken away from him as he continues to coach and perhaps give advice?
Yeah, no, a lot. I mean, as you can imagine, my father, he instilled a lot of values in me, starting with faith, then the family, then the football. We believe that very, very strongly, always in that order. And he was a phenomenal teacher, and he is to this day. And I would say that's one of the things he was most proud of in coaching, and what he enjoyed doing the most was just teaching men, allowing them to develop as players, develop as people in and out of the game. And to watch that interaction, I was fortunate enough to be in the same position room as him for my first 2 years in the NFL, and just to watch how he did it. And a lot of times how similar we were, and then in many other aspects how different we were, was a really, really neat experience for me.
Good morning, Coach. What are some of your early assessment of the talent that's already on this team on the offensive side of the ball, and in what ways do you think you can actually make it better?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very young group. We got guys that are athletic, that can move, that can play the game, and really we think we can help develop and take another step. Obviously, you got 2 tackles already on the roster. We got some guys at receiver. Davis Mills is already on the roster. We got Damian Pierce. Like there's a lot of tools that we can work with and start to put this thing together. Same as on the defensive side of the ball, when you start to see it all again come together and everything is fast, physical, and tough, it gets really exciting.
Adam Wexler, Sports Talk 790. Obviously, Nick and DeMeco aren't going to bring you here unless they feel like you're ready. Why do you feel like you're ready to run an offense, call the plays?
Referencing back to really working for Kyle and being around a lot of guys that have grown to be coordinators, grown to be head coaches. When we were in Washington, Sean McVay was there, Matt LaFleur was there, Kyle was there. I was around those guys all the time. We're not the same age, but we were fairly similar. And then even when I went to San Francisco, Mike McDaniel, Mike LaFleur, seeing how they did it, and then getting in a position where a lot of the responsibilities I was already had to do, working with Kyle, because as a head coach, you get pulled in a million different ways. And thankfully, I had Chris Furster, I had Brian Fleury to help me out as I was going through the process. But Kyle would make sure that you were ready when it was your time. And he put a lot on you in a good way. He would make sure that you were seeing the game he saw, and if you weren't, you would have a conversation. We would talk about it. And, again, it really enabled you to grow as a coach, which was I was very fortunate to be in that spot.
Class 2 right here with John and Brooks.
Bobby, Kyle also said he could see you and DeMeco start to bond when you were quality control, and then he started coaching linebackers, and he said it's when he had to steal you away from the defense. What do you think about DeMeco when you first met him at 17, and his progression to becoming a head coach, and what kind of relationship you guys have on and off the field?
Yeah, when I first met him, I mean, I didn't know him at any level. We had never had a conversation, so we first got in the room together, and I knew who he was as a player. I remember when he was at Alabama. I remember when he was here in Houston, and then when he went to Philadelphia. And I always thought I respected him a great deal as a football player. But I was not sure what I was going to get when we actually started a conversation. Then immediately you start talking to him, and you just feel energy. You feel juice. You feel a guy who's just excited to be there, excited to live, excited to be a part of something where there's competition at stake, you know, and that really inspires you. And as you talk to them more, you start to realize that we have very, very similar values. We have very, very similar football opinions and outlooks as far as how we see the game and kind of how we approach the game, how we approach teaching. And that's kind of where it started to take off as far as the relationship goes, is we had a lot of similarities. And it was really fun going back and forth because, you know, we were in a room together. The coach, the linebacker coach, Johnny Holland, was DeMeco's, I would call him mentor as far as a coach when he was here in Houston, and same developing as a coach on defense, and he did the same for me. So all three of us together was a really fun experience.
Two questions, one's quick, and you may not be in a position to answer the first, but Bill, having interest or conversation with Jimmy Garoppolo, you worked with him for 49ers, and talked about adding quarterbacks. The second, you know, as y'all spent last week being here at the facilities, looking at, you know, what fits within your offense, how are you and the coaching staff going to go forward, like, you know, visiting pro days or holding people? How are you pursuing understanding what quarterbacks to add to the room and what you're looking for?
Yeah, I would say both those questions can kind of be answered the same way, in that we have a process in everything we go through, and that's roster construction as far as free agency, as far as guys we already have. He's going to be a free agent. And, you know, we grind through that as a coaching staff. We grind through that in the personnel department. We have conversations. I have conversations with Nick. He has conversations with DeMeco. And then Nick and DeMeco kind of, you know, put their heads together and lay out a plan of what we want to do going forward, and we'll see where that takes us.
All right. Thanks, guys. If you guys want to come up and introduce yourselves, we have time for a few minutes, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Statement, then we'll open up for questions again. And when you ask questions, please say your name and outlet, okay?
Hey guys, just obviously want to say I'm excited to be here, excited to get to know all you guys, and it's been a cool kind of first month getting to work here and getting to know the people in the place. Just wanted to say thanks to, you know, DeMeco and Nick and the McNairs for giving me this opportunity. So I don't know, that's it. Excited to get to work.
Matt, John, playing with Gallery Sports. As you can imagine, J.J. Watt's very big. You were with him this season, and then you made him ball like a fan. Can you talk about that experience and what the reaction was that was not on the Hard Knocks?
First of all, I just want to say that's your words, not mine, about balling like a baby. Yeah, you know, just spent the year with Jay, and then when obviously the news came out about, you know, him kind of hanging him up and what he wanted to do, you know, I got close to him in the short time I was with him in the year I was there, and you know, I said I felt responsible for sort of shepherding him out the right way and wanted to do something special for him. So just getting to know Jay over that time, I mean, he's got all the accolades you guys know as well as I do, all the stuff that he's accomplished and what he's been through, but you know, getting to know Jay was about the people for him and the connections that he made through his time and people that covered him. You guys had the opportunity, some of you, to do that and played with and played against and competed against and stuff. So I just thought like that would be a cool sort of message for him to send out to. So I don't know. I hope he's thankful for that. You know, I think sounds like he is. And it was a cool opportunity. I mean, you don't get a lot. I've been in this league 20 years now. You don't get a lot of opportunities to work with guys like that and at that level of player and in that time frame of his career and stuff. So it's kind of it was a cool experience for me for sure. Thank you.
Your thoughts on how you want to implement your philosophy, how you describe it, and what you think of some of the personnel that's remaining there?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, at the starting point and through this hiring process, you know, I would just say, you know, DeMeco's vision and mine kind of lined up in terms of how we see defense being played, and we want to be aggressive and an attack front, and you know, I have a history in that front, and obviously what DeMeco did in San Fran, so. You know, at the end of the day, my job's try to help him execute his vision for what he wants. So when I think the traction coming here, there's some pieces on defense that we like that we're looking forward to working with, and obviously still in the process of really getting to know those players. They're just starting to come back and work out some of the guys who are kind of bumping into them around here. So, but I think just foundationally, like, excited for some of the pieces that think fit what we're looking to do. But we're going to be an aggressive attack front and try to get these guys getting off the ball and trying to dictate a little bit instead of being reactionary on defense.
Matt, Brooks DeMeco from Houston.
Hey, Brooks.
Houston.
Thank you.
You know, you coached a lot under Jim Schwartz. You had that time in the middle where you kind of branched off. I'm curious what from that experience kind of brought into how you learned how to coach defense. Also, you spent defensive line coach for the first time after all that process. Specific to that, what within the Texans do you want to do there?
Yeah, you know, obviously, like, it's starting line. Like, Jim's been a mentor to me. Really gave my start in the league and learned a lot from him. And I would say the foundation of what I do is based off what I learned from him. And then we were apart for probably 5-6 years, and really for me, like, just getting exposed to some other stuff there. You know, really in Cincy, kind of like the Zimmer system and what they were playing there. Moving to Miami with Vance and some of his coverage stuff. You know, so you start taking all that stuff. Obviously, all of us have experiences, and you try to learn from and grow from different places and different people. You're meeting different philosophies. I would just say personally, like, probably the biggest sort of change or growth for me in my career was moving to D-line. You know, I've been a linebacker coach for a long time, and then the coordinator stint, and then kind of came back and started coaching D-line, and just from a different perspective and having to, like, relate to a different set of players and sort of look at things from a different lens really sort of, for me, changed sort of just some, I don't know, my career path, but just sort of like that was the biggest growth I saw for me. I mean, I literally had to, you know, in that year, the year I made the move to D-line was in Philly in 2020, I think. You know, it was Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, and it was a serious crew. Like, I had to get up to speed pretty quick and be able to go in front of the room and coach those guys and talk to them. So it was kind of a pretty big learning curve for me. So honestly, and it sort of changed my last, like, 4 or 5 years of my career. So I would say that's kind of where I had the biggest growth, of having to, like, completely change positions, get into a different room. And obviously I had familiarity with the scheme and front, but, like, having to coach those guys and detail that out really sort of changed for me. So now I had, like, a different lens on looking at the front. So I would say that's been a kind of a big sort of curve for me.
Cole Thompson,
Same.
Matt, congratulations on the job.
Thank you.
You spent time working with defensive lines and linebackers. As the game continues to develop more so into a pass-happy league, do you feel like this still the main point of attack should be attacking the defensive end and adding pressure up front, especially in the division that features two running backs like Travis Etienne and Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the passing games have become prominent in the league. You know, I think as again, baseline philosophy that we all believe that if you can get after the passer with 4 and can rush and not have to commit extra resource to that, so then your coverage elements can stay sort of pure, like, that's the best thing. So obviously putting resources in the D-line and having guys that can attack up there. Again, if you don't have that D-line, now you have to start adding pieces to the rush, to the pressure part. Now you're taking away from the coverage. So yeah, I mean, I'm biased because that's been my world for a long time, but yeah, I think, like, it starts again. This defense and this scheme starts up front, and the more you can rush the passer with 4 and attack those guys and get after it, then that takes the pressure off the back end and some of those coverage elements that you're talking about.
Matt, Jonathan Alexander, Houston Chronicle.
Thank you.
You just mentioned defensive line. I'm curious your thoughts on, you know, this draft class as far as defensive linemen and where you all can get guys, as well as the free agent class.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously sort of undergoing that process right now of, like, free agency draft, getting into to really learn those guys. I mean, I'm going to defer that question to Nick to some extent, but you know, I think there's a lot of options. I think there's just a lot of depth across the league in terms of free agency and in the draft. I think I would just say in general, the biggest thing that for us is there's not a lot of teams that sort of play the style that we're going to ask these guys to play. So it's going to be a projection for us. Like, our task is to really dig into these guys, whether it's draft or free agency, and sort of project, okay, putting them into the scheme and the techniques that we're asking these guys to play. Like, can they have success doing that? So I think that's really sort of what we're undergoing right now. And as we sort of watch our scheme stuff, we're kind of doing half scheme, half sort of free agent draft stuff right now. I think that's the biggest task as we talk scheme. Like, okay, hey, these are the things we're going to ask these guys to do, not just up front, like all these positions. All right, what are we asking our linebackers to do? What are we asking our corners to do? What are we asking our ends to do? And then finding guys that can do those tasks and do them at a high level. So that's kind of the task that we're sort of undertaking right now.
Kim?
Hi, sorry.
Hi,
Kim. Thank you.
Kind of a two-part question.
Oh.
You talked a little bit about your background.
Mhm.
Is that, or I'll let you say, what is it that makes you feel like ready for this role now? And then can you talk about just the makeup of the kind of players that you like to see on defense?
Sure. Okay. It's two-part. Yeah. So I mean, I think all of us, right? You know, it kind of ironic somewhat. Like, feel like sometimes this is the only position like that experience is like looked on as a bad thing. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of experience. Like I said, this will be my 20th season in the league coming up, and credit to DeMeco in terms of like the staff he put together. I think one of his goals was really to put, you know, people from different backgrounds and different experience levels and try to bring different viewpoints and visions into this staff here. So I'm hoping that, you know, my experiences and what I've gone through as two different positions, as a coordinator stint, different schemes like that, I bring a lot to the table to sort of contribute to that process. So that's kind of how I approach there. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
The kind of player, the makeup of the player.
Yeah, again, you know, as a starting point, like we want, you know, smart, tough, physical players. You know, a little bit to the question here, you know, the league has become a little bit of a space league. So you want guys that can play in space, that can operate in space. You know, whether that's linebackers that can run with some over routes and cover stuff, or DNs that can close from the edge and those sort of things. So I think, you know, obviously you start with you know, I think DeMeco's philosophy is, you know, bringing in good people and the right type of people for this program and for this organization. But just on the field, like we want, you know, smart, tough, fast guys that can play physical and play in space for us. Sure. Hi, sorry.
Matt Burke from Fox News.
Hey, man.
I asked a couple of outside the box questions.
Oh man, let's go.
What was it like talking about Kilimanjaro?
All right.
And sharing work in Uganda?
Oh yeah, okay. So that was actually that was the same trip for me. So I actually had a former player, I guess Dylan Gandy. He's a Texas Tech guy, I think. So Dylan played for us in Detroit, and myself and one other coach went over there. They were working on building helping to build and sort of start up basically an orphanage, a school system that had a hospital, whole thing in Uganda. So I kind of went along with that, and then I stayed. I did that for about a week. I was in Uganda on site, living at this little school essentially, and helping to like build roads and do some stuff there. That was really started from Dylan and kind of tied a couple of us in, which was really cool experience, like getting to be part of that and being there for that and sort of feel like you're contributing to something. Yeah, and then I spent flew to Tanzania and spent 8 days there hiking Kili. It was probably the most challenging like adventure I've done, I would say. There was I did like a different route. I did 6 days to summit and then 2 days back down. So it was a challenging sort of 8 day stretch for me, but probably one of the most challenging but most rewarding sort of experience I've had in all my adventures. It was something.
What was it like being up there at the top of the summit?
So I'll tell you the quick story. I got it's the only time in all my travels I got altitude sickness. It was about my third day. I was probably about 14,000, and I was like, I was in it. I was in the weeds, man. I was in my tent, like panicking. I'm like, it was like fever symptoms. I'm sweating. I'm like, I didn't sleep all night. And my guide, you know, I'm like freaking out. And my guide was like, you're fine, we're good. Like in the next day, so as you hike, I was basically hiked from the west, hiking east, and then sort of went to the north of the mountain as you sort of circumnavigate it, and you hike ridges, so you kind of get elevation and come back down. That's how you acclimatize. So he knew the next day we were going to kind of be dropping in a little bit, and I was going to regulate my body. But that night, I mean, I was like freaking out. Like I was like, I can't do this. I was like panicking, and but he kind of talked me through it. Literally, he gave me aspirin. I was like, that's your solution? Like he gave me a couple of aspirin, and I was like, God dang, man. And so I was kind of worried. So you summit day, you hit base camp in the afternoon, you sleep, and then you start summiting at midnight so you can get up, because we crested the ridge at about 6:30 in the morning as the sun was coming up. So I was worried, but actually when I got to the top, I was in good shape. There were a couple of people in my group that were like kind of struggling a little bit. I was up there like taking pictures. I was so happy. I was flitting around. So the guy literally was like, "Hey man, we got to go." Like the other people were like having trouble breathing and stuff. So I had my challenge more in the middle of the trip. So when I got to the summit, it was just such a joyous thing for me, man. I was really just blessed. It was like just a cool experience. And then it's, you know, Killy's such just like an isolated volcano in the middle, so you can just kind of see out for days and days. It was a really like just unique experience for me for sure.
DP, then we have time for a couple more.
I got DP
Hey.
with the Texans.
Hey.
You and DeMeco never coached together. You guys were obviously in the same division. So what were your interactions with him like, and how have your paths crossed?
Yeah, so I would say it's funny. We've sort of been like tangentially connected. You know, obviously have a lot of crossover people. You know, between Kosala when I spent some time with him and through that, and some of the guys on the staff out there still, you know, mainly like Chris Kasurik, and then obviously through JJ a little bit. Just we've had a lot of overlapping sort of connections and in the division sort of like just reached out like that. But yeah, I've never obviously spent time on a staff with him. Yeah, so I think like the connection part of it, I think both sort of sides were telling the other person like, man, this is someone you should really meet up with. You guys would get along, like your philosophies align. And as we started going through this process, the interview process, I think that came out for both of us. I'll give you another story time. We got a side note. The first time we actually sort of had a real interaction, we did a Zoom interview. And so it was scheduled, I can't think, like 7 o'clock. And my son actually fell and cracked his eye open. I had to take him to the hospital to get stitches. So I'm like, it's like my first job interview. I'm like, damn it, I'm texting DeMeco. I'm like, can we push this back a little bit? I'm sorry. I'm like, and so then like I like had this like panic Zoom interview with him, and I'm like 2 hours. I was 2 hours late to my interview type of thing. So, but I think, like I said, once we got talking, it was just literally like kind of everything lined up in terms of how we see the game, how we want to coach, how we want to play football, how we want to play defense. Like I just really like sort of like everything that everyone had been telling me about him, and I think vice versa, has just started to connect and mesh. So it was just kind of cool. We spent a few days kind of going through the process, and I think like all the checkpoints along the way, we both felt good about, man, this is exactly how I see things. So kind of lined up like that. He's good, yeah, just 4 stitches. He's good, got a good scar, good story to tell.
Brian Barefoot of Texas Wire USA Today, but you can call me Sarge.
All right, Sarge.
When we were at the NFL Combine, we got a chance to talk to Coach Ryans, and he talked about you, and he said that even though that he's from the background that he's from, and the way that he, you know, coaching the defense at San Francisco, he's going to give you the opportunity to do what you do, and if he has to, you know, have some input, then he will. What does that mean to you to have a coach with his pedigree be able to say that to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely appreciative, just again, obviously for the opportunity from Meco, but I'm excited to get to work with him. Like, just, you guys know, I mean, the through line with him from when his playing time here and everything else is just, he's a winner, and just his approach has been impeccable from player, coach, everything. So, you know, again, I'm here to serve him and what he wants, and you know, he's got a lot on his plate as a head coach, and whatever I can do to help him ease that burden, that's kind of my role. So yeah, I'm thankful just for the opportunity to get to work with him, and again, as we grow in our relationship, like that was the first time that we're actually working together and start sharing ideas and start building it up together. Like, it's just it's cool. Like, I love having him obviously in the building. He's been sitting in our meetings with us as we go through some of the scheme stuff, and I'm extremely excited about the opportunity for us to sort of learn from each other, and again, I'm here to help him any way he needs me to help him. If that's filling up water bottles, I'll do that for him too, man.
Hey, Matt, Adam Wexler, Sports Talk 7.
Oh, sure.
And you kind of hinted at that with your last answer. When you were discussing things, interviewed, were hired, was it with play calling duties TBD? And from now on through the next several months, how will you two come to that decision on who's going to do that?
Yeah, well, he's the head coach, so it's his decision. Yeah, I think we just, like, again, I think we're getting to know each other through this whole process, and it's been cool. Like, I feel fortunate my office is right next to his. It's literally right next door. So, yeah, I don't put a lot of weight in any of that stuff. Again, I'm here to help him execute what he wants to this team to be and what this defense to look like. And if it's calling plays, that's great. If that helps him be a better head coach, if he wants to get his hands a little dirtier, then I'm here to help serve him do that. So, yeah, it really wasn't like a sticking point in the process. It was more just like, hey, this is how I see things. This is how I see defense being run and called. And I was like, I see the same way basically. And I think we'll sort that out as it goes. I think, again, it's a learning process for all of us. Right? He's a first-time head coach, so he's learning what he can do and what he can't and where he can put his energy and stuff. And, again, I think the whole staff feels you guys feel it. I don't know. Like, it's palpable, like, the excitement and the energy. So I think the whole staff is, like, very committed to DeMeco and trying to help him be the best and help this organization get there. So it's not really, like, an issue for me, to be honest with you.
We'll finish with Cody John Brooks.
Oh, man.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, what's up?
Davis from that side. When you look back over your career, especially the last time you held the role as DC, how can you use that experience to help you now, and what are some of the things you think you can do to actually get better from it?
Yeah. Like I said before, I mean, just in terms of, I mean, we'd all be worse people if we didn't learn from our mistakes or experiences and stuff. So, honestly, I think I would say this. I think when I left sort of the Schwartz world, and when I left Detroit and started branching out to Cincy, and then into Miami, I think for me going back to Philly after that, I think that was probably the biggest step in terms of like kind of reconnecting with Jim and sort of seeing where we sort of diverged, and sort of tightening myself up a little bit. I think I got a little expansive, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of some of the stuff I was doing. And, you know, I think philosophically, it comes back to, like, we want to put these players in the best position to execute. And, you know, sometimes less is more, and being able to do something really good and doing a couple things really good as opposed to doing a million things. So I think, like, refocusing sort of myself on that has been where I kind of, like, came away from Miami and moving forward. So,
Matt, you mentioned Schwartz. Going back to your 5 years with the Titans, how much did that foundation with Fisher, McGinnis, Munchak, Schwartz help you to get where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it was, again, I was very fortunate to get a break to get into the league. I was 27 years old, and kind of randomly got a chance to go down there. And it was, I would say, on a lot of levels, like, I think, you know, Jeff had been a long-time head coach, so there was that experience. I kind of caught the tail end of that Super Bowl team, so I caught the tail end of, like, the veteran crew of Steve and Eddie and Javon Curse and Kevin Carter and all that crew, and then also the transition into sort of the next phase with, you know, Vince, and then even going to Chris Johnson and defensively how we move. So kind of like caught some of the veteran side of things as a young coach, and then sort of rebuilding a program after sort of like that kind of reset. And then that staff, like, had a ton of experience, and I'm always thankful to Dave McGinnis. Like, he was a linebacker coach when I was the defensive QC, and he, like, really let me be hands-on and really let me learn. My office was an actual storage closet that they converted into my office, but he didn't, like, keep me in the closet. He, like, let me, like, come out and, like, do some drills and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, he didn't have to do that. It was, you know, at the time, this was 20 years ago, you know, the QC role was still, like, evolving into what it was. You know, so I look at that, and then also, like, kind of you mentioned, I would say, argue, if someone might get mad at me, like, I'll say 2 of the best line coaches in the league, and we had Big Wash was the D-line coach and Munch was the O-line coach, you know, and so seeing how that was built from those guys and how those 2 coached 2 of the, you know, most important positions on the team, like, that was really cool to be around, I think, elite line coaches as well. So, I mean, it was just a really cool, immersive experience for me. I lived in there for 5 years of my life. You know.
Matt, you said you was still sorting out what we'll call defensive plays, but you're also a game management coach with the Jets. One, what is that? And 2, does that factor into how y'all might organize responsibilities here?
Yeah, again, we haven't really we haven't gone down sort of that path in terms of how we're totally divvying up all that stuff. You know, that one just kind of came to be. I was unfortunately let go in Philly and didn't have a job, and Coach Saleh just kind of reached out and just said, hey, you know, obviously he was a first-time head coach, and, you know, wanted someone to sort of bridge the gap between analytics and game day management stuff and coaching, and sort of asked me if I would help him kind of like get things up to speed in that role. And it was a cool opportunity for me. I was living in South Jersey at the time, so it was like an easy sort of transition that way. And yeah, so really I just, man, I don't know like how deep you want to get into this. It was very deep. Yeah, it was like, you know, I basically during the week would put together stuff, teaching tapes for the players, for the whole team. Again, I was very thankful. Coach Saleh gave me the opportunity to address the whole team a couple times a week. just on situational football, stuff that's happening around the league, penalties, whatever it may be, 2-minute stuff that came up that's just sort of like teach and educate the team. And then on game days, I was on the headsets on both sides with him, like talking him through, hey, we need to take a time out here, hey, be alert to this, or challenges. So it actually became, again, I'm grateful that he gave me a lot of work to do for kind of a, I won't say made up job, but just sort of plugged me in a way late. So, yeah, it was a great experience, man. I mean, like really like having to help him, talk him through challenges and timeouts and how to use things and, hey, look out for this, and all the end of game situation stuff. Like that was kind of my world. So again, here to help DeMeco. So if that's something that he wants me to kind of be a part of with him and help him as we go through that process, I'd be more than happy to, because it was a great experience, like contact with the league office on a lot of stuff, like just around the league, and then obviously going through that season and those game situations really helped broaden my horizons on how to do things. So I'm here for him any way he wants.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You guys want to come up and introduce yourself? Feel free. You got a comment?
Good to see you guys. So spring ball, putting a whole new staff together, and excited to be a part of the 23 Texans. I'm one of the holdovers, fortunate to be that, and excited for the new adventures ahead. Got a great relationship with the current and new Texans that are coming on board, things like that, and just there's a good runway here. It's been a tough couple of seasons, and I want to be part of, when that runway really starts to reap the benefits of the work that's been put in and the foundation that's been laid. So, simple as here to work. Good things may have happened from the past in the special teams world, but we have to just start new every year and start our climb, and here to do that. Happy to be here. So, let's go with the questions, guys.
Frank, what did it mean to you to have the best special teams in the NFL?
Proud of that. I think that's a moving scale, though, in my opinion. All I know is we didn't return balls for touchdowns. Had some takeaways. We didn't block a punt. We didn't block a field goal. So there's really good and really proud badge of honor for some of those things. Rear view mirror in a way. And the first thing on my to-do list is what can we do that we haven't been able to get done yet. So there is some great building and foundation laid in guys that are returning and schemes that have been put in. That's awesome. Reward for those guys. They put the work in. So proud of the guys. MJ Stewart, there's 3 specialists, John Weeks, Cam, Kaimi, but Neville, Jerem, Tremont, just anybody. Des King tackling on kickoff. Doesn't matter what role you've played. Those guys earned that status, but it's 2023 now. That page is turned, and we have to find a way to get better and sweep our corners of weaknesses.
Frank, welcome back, and to have that continuity, you were at John Weeks' Twitter game press conference, to get that done with John and just kind of start with the snap and to have him back. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that guy's been outstanding, the pillar of consistency. I think you all know that, and that's more an honor on my side of the table than it is his. So I'm just so proud to work with him, and I try and run the room that, you guys don't play for me, you don't work for me, we work with each other. And I think that's the 2021 when I got here, but that's the new age mentality is we are all on it's a collaborative scale, and that's how the special teams work, input. And having guys like John that can on a daily basis use their veteran status and still adjust to whatever we're asking them to do and just show up day in and day out and work, man, that's a blessing for any coach.
Frank, you mentioned how you're one of the holdovers. Whenever the staff first started to dissolve, what was the conversations through that? What was part of why you're here? And what was the conversation from that point?
Yeah, so anytime there's going to be a turnover of staff, turnover of players, the first thing is a little bit of a get to know. I would imagine new head football coach is going to come in and say, hey, I want to put the best staff together. And, I just try to put my foot forward and say, this is how I see things and how I operate, and hopefully that's a good fit for you, coach. And then, went from there. And I think just as far as anybody that's going to be retained in any role, it doesn't matter who it is, what boss you're working for, your job is to prove yourself every day. So try and live that way, try and be that way, and as we go and grow together, Coach Ryans, myself, any other new coaches, on down the list, what can we do to prove ourselves today, every day we walk in the building, and, it's starting already. So free agency, draft, starting the new playbooks, whatever that may be, just, hey, we're here to work and get ourselves to be the best football team we can be when the season rolls around.
Frank, what's been your early thoughts of DeMeco Ryans and the new staff that's in place?
Yeah, it's been young and fresh and great. Super excited to have the ability for, I did keep my same office. Okay, so I kind of have this dorm room feel in my office, and there's been a lot of foot traffic in there. It's been good, meeting Bobby, Matt. Burke comes down. He's been raiding the energy drink cooler. So, it's just been good to have new faces, build new relationships. I'm in the awkward position that when all new coaching staffs come together and it's a whole new build, they all come together and all stand in the hotel and maybe their families haven't moved here yet. Well, we're kind of already bunkered down in Houston as a family, as a Ross family, and I'm trying to assimilate with those guys as much as I can. But so far so good. Extremely excited to work for Coach Ryans and just make sure you guys understand. I know and feel what I think Houston's feeling. My next door neighbors are asking questions. I know and feel about him what Houston's feeling like. Hey, we got one of our own type of guys that can lead us forward. So excited as well, just as everybody else is.
Do you feel like an RA right now? Just how much change has been going through?
I would never pass an RA qualification exam, but yeah, I guess that's a good question. Good question.
Coach, at the NFL Combine, there was a lot of the offensive players, a lot of those guys who were the man at their school that said that they don't mind playing special teams at all. You had like running back out of Texas A&M, Devon H.A. said that he's played special teams, but he doesn't mind playing special teams. When you hear that, and when you are with the coach staff as far as when looking at potentials on who to draft, what does that mean to you, having a player like that saying that they don't mind playing special teams?
Yeah. I hope every player. I hope there's a quarterback one day that wants to play special teams. The game of football in totality is 11 on 11. It's not 1 versus 1. There's situational games within games and roles and matchups. Yeah, but everybody's got to put their foot in. And at any point in time, you become a tackler, you become a blocker, you become a ball carrier. It doesn't matter who you are. So. That's football 101, and the more players that can have that ego-free, I'm pigeonholed into this, the more players that come into our league with that mentality, I think, and of course there's going to be a little bias. I'm a kicking game coach, but I think that'll serve you better. So whether you end up playing a snap or not, training, the mentality, the work you put in, if you have that, I think that's going to be great for the Texans and the NFL, our league in general.
Frank, you had mentioned the buzz around the city with DeMeco. Do you sense that there's a buzz with the players that are here already, that have been here with what's moving forward? And you were talking about DeMeco individually. What do you see in him that makes you believe he can be a great leader, head coach?
Yeah, it's a great question. I hope that there is. I don't want to speak for the players. I know that every player should be, a guy that has walked in our shoes and has climbed himself to the top. That should be, kind of internal motivation for those guys. I don't want to speak for them, but I hope that's the case. Have definitely had some good conversations, and people seem to be pretty excited, to say the least, from our players' perspective. But, I just think, somebody who's walked in their shoes can come up and say that to them, specifically a Texan, a former Texan. It's going to carry a lot of weight and go a long way, but, Coach will tell you, it's just, he just needs to make sure that the guys are all on the same page, learning together, and that's what's going to take and push us forward.
All set?
That's good.
All right.
Good to see you guys. Okay.
Yeah.